at the Lions? So
I think it's at Lions. Yeah.
So they're in Detroit. Lions have been kind of surprising to me anyway. In their performance this year, kind of taking over the NFC North, but the Packers are kind of knocking on the door a little bit here.
Yeah, somewhat. They would have to win out.
They'd have to win out, but, it is the Lions after all. We're talking about the Lions.
They play them week 17, too, so
we're talking about the Lions here.
Yeah.
It's a very...
And hey,
would not be surprised if they just blew it.
Yeah, the Bears have beat them once this season. It was with Jay Cutler, but they beat him pretty handily, too. Like, it wasn't a pretty effort, but obviously they're much better since then. So I expect a more explosive game from Matt Stafford and their offense, but we'll see. Division matchups, they can be kind of kooky sometimes. So
anything can happen.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, I want to see the Bears win some of these games and break some fans' hearts.
Breaking hearts, just like Blake, every single day.
Exactly.
Be like Blake. Bears break hearts.
Boom.
All right. We'll get into some more draft stuff with the Bears later because we're going to have a lot of time to talk about Bears draft stuff moving forward because
literally, a long off season.
Yeah, it's going to be long.
It's going to be real long.
But we'll get there.
Yeah.
The Bulls. Bulls lose a tough one tonight to the Blazers without Rajon Rondo. So Rajon Rondo was suspended tonight for cursing out an assistant in their loss to the Dallas Mavericks. And I'm not going to say I told you so, Blake, but I told you so. I told you so hard.
Yeah, you did.
I did.
But
I've been on record to say tonight was like a bittersweet thing for me because the Bulls faced off against the Portland Trailblazers. The two players that I hate the most in the NBA are Rajon Rondo and Evan Turner. And Evan Turner is on the Blazers and at one point went on like an 8-0 run by himself. But Rajon Rondo wasn't playing. So it was kind of a bittersweet thing. I'm blocked by Evan Turner on Twitter, by the way. So
nice.
Evan Turner, you can get the heck out of here. But this type of behavior from Rondo, I believe he's been suspended 8 times now throughout his career for like this type of behavior. Yes, it is a lot, Blake.
That's a lot of time.
Because this is the norm for him. If you had the over-under kind of like set at, I think we're at like the 20-game mark of this season of when Rajon Rondo was going to blow up and do something dumb, here we are. Mm-hmm. It happened. I'm not very surprised at all. And it was only kind of a matter of time before he either got after Hoiberg, and in this case he got after Jim Boylan, one of the assistant coaches, he threw a towel at him and then said some mean words to him. So that happened. So Jerry Grant got the start tonight, and in his last outing against the Blazers, he had an absolutely fantastic game. Kind of shut down Damian Lillard on the perimeter and really made Damian Lillard work for his looks. Tonight was not the case. Lillard dropped 30, and the Blazers' backcourt with McCollum and Lillard, they can hit some shots, and they showed up tonight for sure. So kind of a different story tonight for Jerry Grant. I think he had one made field goal attempt, which is, I was expecting a little bit more, but this is more of the reality, folks. A lot of people got really excited about Jerry Grant after that Blazers performance the first time. Yeah. This is Damian Lillard here, one of the best point guards in the NBA against Jerry Grant. So, but I want to go back to this Rondo thing and kind of get your opinion on it. Is this a big deal? Is this Rondo thing a big deal?
It might be. I saw Dwayne Wade's comments, and they seemed kind of like, it kind of seemed anti-front office because he was talking about, he's like, that's the decision they made, and he sounded kind of divisive about it. So I don't know. Sometimes you can look too far into these type of situations, and it's whatever. It's just how Rondo is, and hopefully he just has a little spat and he apologized, like he said, and they move on. So I don't know. I hope that's the case, but we'll find out, as the season goes on.
I don't think those comments were necessarily against management. I think it was more of like Wade just shrugging it off, being like, this is an emotional league. When you're losing to the worst team in the NBA and you get blown out by like 30 plus points, you're going to be mad. Deservedly so. There's no reason why the Bulls should have lost that game. None. The Mavs are a mess. They can't stay healthy at all, and they're an awful team.
Yeah.
They have like 2 shot creators, if even, and the Bulls should have won that game by 15 points. But they go on to lose it without Dwayne Wade being there, and it was a second night of a back-to-back, but I don't really care. You need to win that game. And I understand so far, up to this point, up to today, Rondo has been very good. He's been good Rondo for the most part, like off the court with coaches. He has a good relationship with Hoiberg, from my understanding.
Yeah.
But, he had been doing well in that aspect until today, and then it blows up. I think this isn't a huge deal. If it was affecting Wade and Butler, I think it would be a bigger deal. But it's not, just judging by their comments. They don't seem upset. They don't seem pissed off about it. They just kind of like, whatever. Like this is the NBA, an emotional league.
Yeah.
So
as they should be.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Rondo will be back in uniform Tuesday night in Detroit. So we'll see how he performs.
Yeah, they're going to need him. They've been slipping a little bit.
They really are. They have been slipping quite a bit. After their circus trip, everyone was super high on the Bulls, including myself. And then they beat the Cavaliers, which is a very impressive win.
Yeah,
They've lost to the Lakers and the Mavericks. 2 games they should have won. And then they lose tonight to Portland. So, I mean, you're going to have stretches like this throughout the season. But the Bulls' inability to make 3-point shots is really coming up to haunt them, and their inability to have consistent scoring from someone else other than Dwayne Wade and Jimmy Butler is really coming up to hurt them. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the Bulls miss Doug McDermott. To just provide them with another 3-point shooting threat is so important, because Bulls opponents are clogging up the lane and just kind of forcing Isaiah Cannon to shoot a bunch and Nikola Mirotic to shoot a bunch, and both those guys continue to struggle. So they miss Doug, and they actually miss MCW quite a bit because he's a much better defender than Isaiah Cannon is.
Yeah,
for sure. So
we've been talking about those same issues since the start of training camp. So
it's the bench. Like, who else is going to be there? Because Butler and Wade are
their
be
bench
there.
is not good.
Butler and Wade are going to show up. I mean, there's a stat that came out tonight, and like Bulls have a losing record when Wade and Butler each score 20 points. Like they're better kind of in that facilitator role when other guys are scoring too. I'm not saying that's a bad thing that they each score over 20 points, because that's great. I'll take that every night if that's an option. But you need guys like Cannon shooting well, and you need guys like Mirotic shooting well. There's just no consistency on the bench. Isaiah Cannon is fine in the second quarter coming in with the bench unit, but he should not be playing crunch time minutes. That's just, he's undersized and can't defend, and hasn't been consistent shooting 3 this season. He can't play crunch time minutes. That's just the truth.
Yeah, they have so many point guards anyways. Why go to him?
They do. I mean, I like Cannon for short spurts, but his main job on this team should be to come in and make threes. And so far this season, he hasn't done that consistently. when he's on the floor, most of the time he's on the floor with Jimmy or Wade, and they're the primary ball handler anyway. So he's kind of that 2. He's technically a point guard, but he plays off the ball.
Yeah.
Because his main role is to shoot threes. Nikola Mirotic, I mentioned him before. I'm kind of done with the Mirotic experiment here. Not consistent enough, not confident. I know coming in, there were a bunch of high hopes, but I'm thinking at this point, at the trade deadline, with his contract expiring, I'll say this. Nico's going to get paid regardless by some team. Some team is going to overpay for Nico, and that's great. And I don't think the Bulls are necessarily utilizing his talents well. He's not a 3.
Agreed.
He's not a 5. Okay? He's a 4. He can't play. He's not quick enough to play the 3. He's not strong enough to play the 5. He's a 4. So at some points in this season, we've seen him play the 3 or the 5 in small ball lineups. He can't do it. He can't do it. He's settling for either very deep threes or trying to take it to the hole and isn't strong enough to finish over rim defenders, interior defenders. So it's interesting. It's really interesting because with him, I feel like it's all confidence. It's all mental. Because he had a good night tonight. He's at his best when he's not hesitating and he's just acting on instinct. So when he's thinking, he's worse. And I think the Bulls should look to move him at the trade deadline. I'm not sure what kind of return you'd get for a guy like Nico, but I think they should explore that option at least so you get something back because I know some team is going to overpay.
I think you throw him into a multiplayer deal and go out and get Boogie Cousins.
I mean, I love Boogie Cousins. I don't know if that's realistic.
Yeah.
I think the quote Tom Thibodeau
I was
here,
thinking about that earlier.
To be honest with you, you can never have enough shooting. So you either get a proven player. You get someone that you know can score off the bench. That's what's the most important thing. You get a pick. I'd be fine with a pick.
Yeah.
A higher pick. But you get someone
I'm definitely with you on moving Nico. I definitely think they're misusing him in some regards, like you said. And there's some other teams that I feel like could fit his play style a little better, but just overall, he doesn't strike you as like a very good player. You know, like he has some talents and some nights he's hot and he'll hit some threes and has an okay shot, but just overall, like you said, the inconsistency is there and it's been a problem ever since he got here, you know, so.
His rookie season, he had a month of play where he just kind of took over the league, and everyone got super high on him. I'm including myself, and he was playing great.
Well, I remember that stretch. He was actually unbelievable.
He was on fire. He was on fire. It was his rookie season too, and it was under Thibodeau. So maybe that has something to do with it. Hoiberg probably hasn't been the best coach for him, developmentally for sure. Like, you want to see steady improvement out of your young guys. You really know what kind of player you're going to have in the league by year 3 or year 4. This is year 3 for Nico, I believe. So, or year 4 even. Year 4. So I think,
wow.
I mean, it's 3 or 4, one of those. And it's time to prove yourself in the league. So, I mean, he needs to be consistent. And he hasn't been so far. So I think you need to explore some trade options for him.
I agree.
Definitely. One other quick thing, and then we'll move on to some Blackhawks talk here in a second. But talk about Bobby Portis.
What about Bobby Portis?
So some of the talk on Bulls Twitter recently has been a lot of people have been asking Fred Hoiberg, why is Bobby Portis even playing? He's not adding much. He's not hitting shots from the outside consistently. He's awful defensively. So why is he playing? and I guess I'll try to answer that question.